Hi everyone. I'm Andrea Giammarchi. Web Reflection on Twitter. That's enough about me. I have more interesting things to talk about, mostly related to ECMAScript 6. This list that you see on the screen is what the next version of JavaScript is going to offer us. Is a lot of stuff that's coming in, and this is usually how developers react. At least me. That was me. The day I was reading through the list of new things, it was great. More developers, more active than me, they start going, actually, I think quite nuts. They start saying, hey, ES6 is too cool, use it today. Hey, this is how you can use ECMAScript today. Hey, this is a list of tons of tooling in order to bring ECMAScript 6 to modern, to daily code basis. Finally, 6.5, which is probably, I must say, the coolest tool I've tried so far. The first page, the next generation JavaScript today. So sometimes I have the feeling the JavaScript community is somehow hype-driven. The reason is that something is new. I want to use it as soon as possible. Sometimes I have not even any idea what it's supposed to solve. A simple example, a few days ago in the ECMAScript mailing list, a developer asked if the string templating was useful for actual HTML templates. And it was a bit of an awkward moment because we realized, all right, it's called string templating. It's not good at all for HTML templating. It's good for tooling, it's good for debugging, it's a static string in backtick quotes, a sort of lightweight eval. So yeah, we should actually try to understand before we adopt a new technology if that's really what's trying to solve, or if that's the problem that we want to solve. TypeScript is an example. TypeScript brings types, of course, and then you have to ask yourself, are types really the thing that make my code sucks? Is it, if I bring types, will my broken logic work better, or my crappy architecture work better? I don't know. Actually, they introduced the language as lets you write JavaScript the way you really want to. So I've tried this. This didn't work. Magic is undefined. Damn it, TypeScript. Or people are actually giving you advices like use ECMAScript 6 today. This was from more than a year and a half ago, and it was started like today. ECMAScript 6 is the process of being finalized. It's actually a lie because they are still discussing in the mailing list about many things that are also breaking changes. The final version will be out the coming May 2015. So if you already adopted any ECMAScript 6 standard, there are quite few chances that it's going to break pretty soon. Also, when there's a lot of hype, people try to, sometimes the trend is that they lose contact with the reality. This was Jake a few days ago on Twitter. JavaScript, the future is great. The structuring defaults make optional arguments really simple. I agree with Jake. This is the function. Defaults, I don't really, I'm not a huge fan of the syntax here because it could look more like a generic literal object. It doesn't matter. I do love the fact that JavaScript finally will have default arguments. And Jake's point was like, because this is how we write JavaScript today. Despite that there are a few errors in this code, it's just Jake tried to make a point that tomorrow is better than today. But this is not how we write JavaScript. This is how we want to write JavaScript. Because how about this? How if we write JavaScript like this? This feels like more closer to a way to define, to translate or transpile the ECMAScript 6 version. So sometimes it's up to us. The way we want to do things is like, cool, we have string templating, these backticks, and the fact there is a name. String templating has a lot of little things that developers need to be aware. They don't play that nice with minifiers because you cannot minify anything here unless the string template is minified as well. But it doesn't matter. Let's just see how it could be done today. This is a string. This is compatible with ECMAScript 3, meaning it works even on IE5 if you try that. You just need to add, this is a gist, is a line, is a little string prototype. I'm not going down that road, but it's a very simple templating, and it works everywhere already. So template is what you need. Then, I don't know, you have a way to have today without needing ES6 because it's not there yet. Another thing, the structuring. Developers thought that the structuring was cool because you can finally return multiple variables. That's actually not true. You can destructure an object. You can return an object also today. It's about 15 years we can return an object, and if we know upfront the property names, we can use the equivalent of destructuring in ECMAScript 6. Somebody said that this is not a good pattern. There are also performance implications. Fair enough. So if you like this kind of new entries, these are lightweight or syntax sugar improvement. And when I talk about sugar, is because ECMAScript 6 is mostly, you can almost desugar everything to ECMAScript 5. Almost is the key. So there's simple sugar, the fat arrow, string templating, property method assignment, we'll see this later on, and enhanced object literals. So you can, finally, you can use square brackets to define at runtime a property name instead of addressing the object and then defining it later on. So this is simple sugar. It might be slightly more or less processed, but it's just sugar. And this works fine. If you read the ECMAScript 6 version and the ECMAScript 5 version or daily JavaScript, once the transpiler changes the code, you can recognize what's going on. The fact you can recognize the final output is important because basically if you do not have a browser that is compatible with source map or an environment that lets you debug with source map, you're in trouble. You don't understand what's going on. Who wrote that? It wasn't you. But if you see a fat arrow and it translates into function.bind this, it's fine. You know what's going on. It was a fat arrow and you know what will be later. Classes supposed to be just sugar. Classes are a bit more than that. So this is more complex sugar. Weak map and weak set, actually there's no transpiler that brings automatically this stuff in because are very basically impossible in ES5. There are polyfills, but they're not accurate 100%. Built-in subclassing has been bothering us forever and still nowhere, but it's in spec. Same things, generators and symbols. This stuff cannot be easily transpiled. This requires a lot of work, a lot of wrapping, a lot of stuff. But it's cool, it's sweet, it's colorful, many shapes. You need tons of it to normalize a ES5 compatible browser. So your output code is gonna look like this at some point. It's not easy to debug because you don't see where does it come from. So the point is try not to overload. If you need promises, brings the promises polyfill in. If you need to desugar, the best thing about 6 to 5 is that you can whitelist only what you want. You want fat arrow, you say 6 to 5, whitelist fat arrow. It's not called fat arrow, I don't remember, but you can say whitelist fat arrow. And your code, the only thing that is gonna change is gonna be the fat arrow. And that's cool because it doesn't cost anything. So on the older engine and older browsers, it won't be a problem. It won't cause performance to be worse than before. Also because I usually, that's my expectation. If something is new, I expect to be faster. I don't know why, but this is not the case. When we put a lot of stuff on top, we don't want to end up like this. Imagine that supposed to just carry 2 people. It's a mess. This is not how you want the browser to carry your output. So classes, like I said, is that kind of sugar. It's not that simple. I also met developers that think that I don't know, they don't like, they told me don't write a getter or a setter because it hides complexity. That's kind of true, but at the same time, whenever you deal with the DOM environment, most of the time is about getters and setters that we don't see. So I'm actually fine with that. But then the same developer a few weeks later told me, hey, how about we put a transpiler in our code so we can use ECMAScript 6? So let's see how the transpiler can change our code. I don't see on my netbook what's going on, so I will be like this. This is a test file, is a test A class with a method and a getter, and a test B that extends test A. This code is completely pointless, as you can see, but it's just to understand what's going on behind the scene. How the transpiler is going to change this simple code in order to work on modern browsers. Let's start with 625. So first of all, it's a bit greedy. 625 decides, even if it finds a with statement down the road, decides that the global scope should be strict. So this is not good for interoperability between modules that would like to transpile in something else. This is not compatible with the rest of JavaScript you find out there. So I think they should put everything inside a closure. It would be nicer, probably. 625 brings some utility in your global scope. In this case, _get. This function is what you basically invoke every time you need a super method or super getter or setter. If it's a method, it will return a value. Otherwise, if it's a getter, it will call the receiver. The cool part about 625, it brings in only what you need. So it parses your code, and it's trying to put on top only what's needed by your code. I use a getter, but not a setter. That's why there's only logic for the getter, which is cool. It's very cool. Inherit. The function, you can inherit class and null. I'm not sure if in final spec you could inherit also object. In this case, the prototype is using object create, which is fine. And then the constructor property is defined as enumerable false, which is fine as well. The problem is that it's inconsistent with everything else. So it might cause some side effect, indirect side effect that you don't wanna have on your code, because it's not your responsibility at this point. Is the transpiler should provide a very standard environment or unexpected behavior. And then here the main problem: if you are not extending null, you're using __ proto. This is called dunder proto. Is a easy way, right away, to swap inheritance. And in this case, this code is used to basically, when you extend test A, the class A could have some static property attached. So in this way, instead of copying, looping, or doing all these things, you're just moving these properties or making them available through prototypal inheritance. What's the problem here? That the moment any code used under proto, automatically you decided that I10 and down to any other IE. So from I10 and every other older browser, you don't have compatibility anymore. So this is something that transpilers don't tell you. They tell you modern browsers. They don't specify exactly which of them, which is something you should be aware, because there's no coming back once you adopt the dunder, in case you need it. This is the final code. Is a basic function, old JavaScript style, a method, a getter. It's fine. And this is the funny bit. Test B. So this is the part I wrapped my head around this a lot. Couldn't find a reason for doing this. There is a variable _test A to trap the test A, which is what we are inheriting here. And then this variable is used nowhere else. I don't know why. Why are you doing this? This could have been here directly. Why you use the variable? And then I see the test B constructor. So if you check again, there's no constructor. There's nothing to do when I do new test B. Now, thanks to the transpiler, when I do new test B, I pass through get prototype of test B, which will grab basically the dunder proto and will give me back Guess what? Test A. So this will never be null. And I know this up front. I don't know why the transpiler, I'm expecting the transpiler to be smarter than me. And in this case, it's dumber than me, and I don't like it. And I will show you why. The performance impact here is huge. And then just in case it wasn't weird enough, let's get prototype of test B again and apply these arguments just because. So, and this is, like I said, the same repeated get prototype of test B instead of just test A prototype method 1 call, which would not be straightforward. Theoretically, I shouldn't care about this, but the moment I show you the graph about performance degrade, I would like to understand why is that. The project is very highly, they are changing things at speed light. So, like I said, it's the coolest. So I'm not saying it's a bad tool. I'm saying it can improve, it should improve quite a lot. This is a tracer from Google. Let's say more mature. They change this to strict directive inside the function, so it doesn't pollute the global scope. And the code, as you can see, is more or less what you wrote, is what you see on Tracer. It's cool. That's possible only because Tracer has a runtime. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing Tracer wrongly. I have no idea how to pronounce it. So this is doing basically the same thing 625 is doing, grabbing the proto. And Tracer is using Dunder Proto as well, so it's not compatible with i10 and lower. And this is more or less the same concept for calling the super that 625 is using, except it's a bit smarter. It's not using get prototype again, but I don't know, maybe it's using behind the scene. I don't know, I need to check what the super get is doing. I don't care. What I care here is that if I do not have a source map compatible environment, I can still understand what's going on inside my method, because it's almost a one-to-one. The runtime, though, is 1 megabyte of code that you need to bring with you every time you offer a page. And if it's minified and gzipped, is 125 kilobytes or something. Still a huge thing. This is TypeScript. I had to rewrite the example for TypeScript because of types, first of all, because of .ts, it needs to be .ts, because I couldn't include the getter. Every time I tried with the getter or setter, TypeScript is not compatible. It's not compatible because only public and protected methods are available. That's because TypeScript is not ECMAScript 6 to Java to ECMAScript 5. TypeScript is a TypeScript to JavaScript, which is a standard apart, just to drop some confusion. In ECMAScript 6, there's nothing about protected method, for example. You can simulate private, but not protected. And then all of these transpilers, none of them brought in the weak map. Weak map is here, and they are all, yeah, fine, there is a weak map. Well, from 6 to 5, the weak map is something from the 6. I expect these transpilers to bring the weak map in, and they don't. So this code, I cannot run it basically if there's no weak map. This is how TypeScript becomes. Is a underscore extend. This is the main function. TypeScript is compatible down to I think 8 or even lower. It just loops over static properties to attach them to the new constructor. You use prototypal inheritance the old way, the old style, and it works. And it also does something I wasn't expecting. The constructor is defined as an enumerable property, which is at least consistent with everything else. It's the opposite of how ECMAScript 6 is going to be, but very consistent. So this is cool. Everything else is enumerable. Also, the code is the cleanest I could see. The cleanest super call, the cleanest super method call, the cleanest, it was clean all the way, and it was also the smallest code. And then the final check. This little utility is the first time I showed this utility. The goal was to create an ECMAScript 3, so down to IE6 compatible class system. There are tons of them. There are really, since ever, everyone tried to create a class. I tried a few times already, but this time is I have something to compare, which is ECMAScript 6. So this time, I'm bringing the ECMAScript 6-like syntax into ECMAScript 3. So any browser, any old browser, any mobile browser, any web browser, it doesn't look that different, but the cool part, like I said, about 6 to 5, is that I can use this syntax, which is just method. I'm defining methods like this, which is compatible with 6 to 5, because this is ES6. And this is the coolest way to define method. There's no function. It's boring to write otherwise this way. And I can just tell 6 to 5, hey, transform only these functions and maybe fat arrow, and only what they need instead of everything. So at the end of the day, this is the code of tomorrow. And this is how we could write code today. It's going to work. Also because minifiers, if you think about extends, which is a private word in the old engines, any minifier will put will quote automatically for us there. So it will be accessible as a generic property. This, in my Epiphany browser, built on top of the latest WebKit. This is how I can new test B with a normal, regular JavaScript. And this is how 6 to 5 will new test B. This is, I think, dozen times faster than this. This is because of all this boilerplate that I didn't ask for, and I don't understand why it's there. So this is something that I think we should improve in 6 to 5 and help them improving. I will file other bugs probably, or PR. But at the end, the cool part of 6 to 5 is it brings only 2.2 kilobytes totally. It brings only what you need in. It didn't fix the weak map, but it doesn't matter. It's modular, and I like that part, because if you compare with Tracer, it's a small output. It looks good, but it brings 126.5 kilobytes of minified and gzipped runtime. And you need this, otherwise nothing will gonna work. TypeScript, smallest output, best performance. The super call inside the test B, since test A had no constructor defined, wasn't really necessary. But it's good. It's a good practice. By the way, TypeScript is not a ECMAScript 6 substitute. So it's about, if you need classes, probably TypeScript provides the best classes structure. And then there is this little library that is 1.2 kilobyte class utility. Is actually used, 1.2 is used because I didn't just look for ES6, I actually looked for ES7 as well. So what's coming next after ES6? The most important thing is the lightweight traits. This is really great. I have no idea how, in which shape, but I'm just accepting, I'm just basically accepting one or more objects and composing prototypes based on these objects with the possibility to initialize each of them or all of them at once. What else? Yeah, there are lightweight interface. There are few things, but the most important thing is that it's compatible down to IE6 if you don't use getters or setters, and you can use 6 to 5 whitelist, arrow functions, and property methods assignment, and then your file or your list of files. And you just bring a tiny bit of JavaScript, of future of JavaScript today. So why all this? This is because it's not that tomorrow you go your office and you drop all your code base and you start with ES6. That's not gonna happen. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can just modularly introduce things that you think you might like and need, and writing less is something that everyone usually likes. And well, in some cases you have to understand if you really need it, because it could be even superfluous. So that's all I got for now.